I would love to allow Dr. Granger to tell us a little bit about Women's Heart. You all met Dr. Sharon Hayes from the Mayo Clinic, who spoke about the importance of heart disease prevention in women, as well as the holistic approach with mind and body taking over. So Beverly, tell us about Women's Heart.
Women's Heart, as I said, is the National Coalition for Women with Heart Disease. And what we do as Women's Heart Champions is run support groups for women who are living with heart disease or who are at risk for heart disease. We meet monthly. We have educational modules that we do with the women, and we give them an opportunity to talk about their concerns and to share, because we know that women, as you saw in the film, really support each other and do a good job of filling the need for emotional support, for feeling like you have a partner. Personally, after having heart surgery, felt the need to have something like that, and it wasn't available. But now North Shore-lij has joined the alliance with Women's Heart, and so we run these groups monthly. So if anybody needs it, anybody have heart disease or know somebody who does, you should come and join us.
So how do we successfully age?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people have asked that question. Basically, going back to the movies, exercise, diet, and that's important. You want to have that social support. That, you know, we're all going to age, but it's how we're going to age. That's basically what it is, and that's what we do. We promote at our office is function, get out, exercise, daily exercise, 30 minutes of walking, 4 to 5 days a week. That would be great if you could do that. Diet is important. A lot of the plant diet. Try to stay away from the soda. Have social support. Go out with your friends. A lot of things are easier said than done, but you know, trying to find that support network. And we actually do have a great social worker in our office who connects some of our patients and even their caregivers with people in the community or community resources that is able to help them with that support. So it's one of the great things that come at one of our office. What we do at our office. But it comes down to, again, is you know what we do now as we're at this age in our stage in our life is making sure we take good care of our body, physically, mentally.
What did you? Oh, go ahead.
You know, on that thought, we all know better. We do. Every one of us sitting here knows better because we have, first of all, common sense, and we've been taught. This generation, our 50-year-old generation and 60, knows better. Our parents did not know better. I mean, I know what I grew up eating versus what I taught my kids how to eat and how I eat now. But I'm still lazy. We all are. And you know, what it really comes down to is discipline. And the best thing I've learned from doing these 2 series on aging is this. And it's just, if you just take this and every day this is your thought, just think about this one thing, it will affect you the rest of your life. How you live today will determine how you age tomorrow. It's just that simple. And I'm on the 4th floor of the hotel. I was just thinking to myself, oh, I'm so tired. It's been a long day. But you know, I'm going to take the stairs when I get back. These little things, because we live a sedentary lifestyle. We sit all day long so much. You know, they talk about the 10,000 steps, you know, in the course of your day and wear a pedometer and things like that. It does make a lot of sense. I'd be astonished if I only get 2,000 steps one day, but I don't pay attention to it. But you do that 6, 7 days in a row, that's our life. We're sitting. We weren't designed to sit. You know, the average human being back during the days when we used to have to hunt and gather would walk 10 miles a day. That was just normal. You know, how many of us get a quarter of a mile in a day? So I think the fact is we know better, and that's the best thing we have going for us. We do know better. And that's what we can harness ourselves with, is that knowledge. Now it's the discipline of just applying it. And if it's not applying it for yourself, because you're going to live longer because of all the health and medicine and society, do it for your children. They're going to have to take care of you. Because they will. My mother's 93. You know, the hardest thing women have going for them that I learned from this film is this, is that women have it tougher than men. You really do. You deal with more issues than we deal with in aging. And then in your own aging process, you're the caregivers of everybody else. You end up taking care of the parents. And then guys that are 5 and 10 years older, and you're married and you live with, you end up taking care of them. And you're trying to take care of yourselves. But women are really the pioneers of aging, because where guys don't think about aging till they're 45 or 50 years old, the light switch goes on and oh my God, I'm getting old. Women are thinking about it in their 30s. That's where you guys are harnessed with great knowledge and intuition and, you know, and I think that's probably one of the reasons women live longer. That's where guys can learn from. But I think we all need to look at our own selves. And just the more disciplined we can be about what we do and how we live is going to determine how we age tomorrow.
What other questions do we have?
What advice would you give for someone who's not dating a partner and want to encourage them to try to, embrace some of these habits?
Well, one thing I would do is explore what is preventing them from getting involved in other habits that will, kind of help slow down the progression.
A lack of enthusiasm, that kind of.
It may not. It may be a lot of. It may be multifactorial. It could just be, medical conditions that's causing it. I'm sure you said the health may not be as great. A lot of comorbidities. Yes, but it could also be a psychiatric component. So there's a lot of, investigating what is the cause. And once you know what it is, it's easy to kind of work from there and try to direct them into the resources that are there for that.
Hi, thank you for your movement tonight. You identified several places of hotspots for longevity around the world. Okinawa is one you covered. I'm curious to know about the socioeconomic reasons, if any, for those other reasons as well as Okinawa.
Well, the study that they did a few years ago, National Geographic's and Dan Buettner wrote a book called Blue Zones. There's 5 blue zones identified in the world: Okinawa, Sardinia, Costa Rica, Ikaria, and Loma Linda, California. And I think that and we filmed in Sardinia for the men's series, so I spent 10 days in Sardinia with a doctor. And the very simple aha moment for me when I walked away from that how can I apply Sardinian lifestyle? How can I apply Okinawa lifestyle to my life? And I live in Okinawa, and I live in Sardinia, and I live at the top of a mountain taking care of goats, and I don't live in, in an environment in small villages in Okinawa. So what can I take away from that? I think that one movement. This is it's a very obvious thing to see. Guys in Sardinia and women in Sardinia, they walk a lot. I lot. I know we walked with them, and I was like, my God, is this 7-year-old guy ever going to stop? And same thing with the women in Okinawa. They walk everywhere. So movement, there's a basic one. Low carbohydrate, high density foods. So here's what I mean by that. So plant-rich foods, high density, low caloric. So instead of eating a lot of high starchy type of things that we would normally eat or consume and a lot of sugars, low calorie. So they'll take in a lot of product, but it's low calorie and high density. And so the body metabolism works, it's common sense. It's a machine. It works less hard to process what it's taking in. It's taking in less calories into the body, so it works less hard. Friendship, societal relationships. Those are the other things I saw. For men in the Sardinia, these guys sit in the middle of the center, sometimes every day just to get together to talk, just to be together. Do you got friends? You hang out with them all the time? Do you have friends? Do you hang out with them all the time?
No friends.
No friends.
Well, see, you and I don't even know buddies, okay?
But no,
We're going to die lonely.
If I just specify a little bit more on the socioeconomic, if any, if you saw any of those things. Obviously, you know.
Yeah, here's an interesting thing. The poorer, the less financially rich the environment, the longer and healthier and happier they live. Now here, why would you say that about Loma Linda, California? Well, that part of Loma Linda, California, why was it identified as one of the 5 blue zones? Is because of the Advent, how do you say that?
Seventh-day Adventist.
It's the way they live their life. It's a It's a structure of life that they've adapted that works well for them. And the elders live longer and healthier. And the other thing is the elders are revered. That's another thing. In all of these, there's a certain amount of reverence to our elders, as opposed to, well, you know, Dad's 75, you know, where can we put him? Well, in those places, Dad's at home. You know, he's considered, you know, special and important to the community. So all of these things, but it is interesting you're saying that. Most of these places, and we're working on, not to digress, we're working on a film that we're going to start, it's going to be done in 2016. It's called Death is Not the Answer. And it's about depression and suicide. And the funny thing we're starting to dive into it and educate ourselves about this whole very deep and complicated subject, is that cultures or countries or societies that have less income structure to them are the happiest. So, and it's very true about what I did clearly see as far as places that don't have a lot of money in their pocket, but they have life, you know, on the back end. So, I hope that answered your question.
I could have
Thank
a
you.
little bit on that. Because my family comes from Greece as well, and not Ikaria, the island that's featured there, but I know a little bit about Ikaria. But when I visit my father's village up in the mountains, and I walk through the cemeteries, which are, you know, in the village, and I see the tombstones and the ages of the lifespan of, you know, people who were born in the late 1800s. My grandparents actually lived until their late 90s, and they were poor. And my father comes from a family of 6 other siblings, and the diet is largely what they grew, and the animal protein was largely what they raised, and they migrated from one village to another village seasonally by foot, and I think movement played a big role. And when they do indulge, it wasn't an everyday thing. It was, you know, holidays where it was beyond, you know, their legume diet and vegetable diet, and the meaning of family meals took a different meaning at those times, and it was culture, it was a community, sense of community and sense of family. So, you know, the message for me isn't to try to change your diet and lifestyles, but just think about a more meaningful diet. And when you do gather with your family, think about the sense of community and the sense of sharing a plate versus the calories and whatnot. So I think the message behind food is beyond calories. It's a gathering as well, and I think that's a big thing with cultures who have longevity. It's that sense of community and family.
You said one thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned one thing that was really important, I guess, preservatives.
Yeah.
You know, every one of these communities, these blue zones, whatever they eat, they either raise or grow. And, you know, we take, you know, organic this, organic that, all these farmers markets and all that stuff, you know, and I had an earlier life before this as a chef. So I have a lot of experience with cooking and food and all that good stuff and everything. But never before have I been more prone to searching out the organic, the farmer's market, the local, because I get it now. I mean, these, you know, they either raise or they grow it. And the preservatives, they almost intake nothing. If they don't raise or grow it, that doesn't go into their body. You know, and I know we need preservatives and all these things for a variety of things, but what have we sacrificed along the way? And what, as we age, do we continue to sacrifice, you know? And I think the jury's still out on that, but I think we all read and follow a lot of stuff, and that's why organic and local farming is very important to us now.
Yes.
I'd like to make a contribution tonight. I'm going to be 90.
Nice job, sister.
I play tennis 3 days a week. I volunteer 13 years now, running a soup kitchen in Glen Cove. Okay, I work 3 full days a week. I climbed Kilimanjaro at 68. I spent my 70th birthday at 30 below zero in the wilds of Alaska, having just dog sledded to the tent that I was in. And my advice to everyone is moderation. I've lived my life to a great extent in moderation, in that I eat everything. I eat meat, I eat ice cream, I eat somewhat balanced out. And maybe part of it is having good genes too. That probably helps. Thank you.
So, what is your name?
Harriet Lewis,
Harriet?
yes.
You have some girlfriends that live the same type of lifestyle that you live and so on?
Yeah, none of
That
them
you
are
hang-
my age though.
They're
So-
50.
So we put Harriet on a plane with some of her girlfriends and we sent them over to the Middle East. You guys would kick ISIS's ass.
And my life has not been without some tragedy too.
Yeah, I'm sure it has.
You learn to live with that and learn to get over it. I lost my daughter, who was a doctor in Alaska. And she was a pilot. Not only had she delivered 1,000 babies in Alaska, but she also wanted to fly, and she lost her life piloting her friends around. I've flown around Alaska with her. Luckily, I have survived. But you get through these things. I lost my husband. I have 2 grandchildren who have ataxia and who are in wheelchairs. They travel all over the world. They don't let anything stop them. So you build this in a family of courage and how you get through life.
Harriet, what scares you about aging right now?
I'm not hearing over the telephone so well. And sometimes I get a little nervous driving at night by myself. I lost my husband 2 years ago, but I still get out. I came here tonight from Great Neck, Long Island.
Are you scared of dying?
No, I'm planning on it.
I want to be your new best
I'm putting my
friend.
life in order. I just worked on my will again. I took out my ethnic jewelry and dividing it among my children. No, I'm facing it. It may be tomorrow. I may live another 10 years. I don't know. But that's not important. It's what I do every day and what gets me out of bed. And the wonderful people I've met volunteering at the soup kitchen, which is something I recommend to people, volunteer work. And I see it in the people who volunteer, who are in their 70s and 80s, a lot of them. And they live very, very vital and pretty healthy lives. And I think the volunteering has something to do with it. Giving your life, I'm concerned with the people that I meet every day in the soup kitchen and their lives. And by being involved in their lives, it makes you less concerned about your own life.
So Harriet, one last thing.
I don't want to keep that, I don't
No,
want
I have one last thing for you. To summarize your life
Yes.
and your accomplishments and your tragedies and everything you've gone through, and it's heroic and it's inspiring to all of us. What would you offer in a very brief overview of your advice to everyone else here and aging
Well,
mindfully?
I had an extraordinarily happy marriage, and I shared my life with someone who kind of pushed me along. When I climbed Kilimanjaro, my husband was waiting at the airport with a T-shirt that said, "A woman's place is on Kilimanjaro." And that just kind of summarizes having a wonderful life with him. And I've had, I had 3 wonderful children. I don't know how to summarize it, other than it's been a life of adventure, filled with love, with caring about other people, not only about caring about yourself, but caring about other people.